Alright, this is an unedited, raw discussion between the two creators of this upcoming project.
Myself and Stanley Parish.
Yeah. And that was Jeremy who just said that for reference.
Good day.
This isn't. We're gonna edit this down to kind of condense like all our key parts, and then we're gonna,
closer.
building this. This is kind of like an archival thing.
Indeed.
Maybe one day, like 100, like if we're like really famous one day, this would be pretty interesting.
Oh, look back in this day, back in the day.
Yeah, imagine if we were like famous directors one day and
film schools and shit showing them and stuff.
Yeah, that's so cool.
God, imagine that. I'd say.
It's not even out of the realms of possibilities for us.
Never know.
But
Could happen.
We should explain what we've kind of. We were walking around the other day, and
do come.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Fruit pastels.
Hello.
We're like chatting about.
Fine.
So we were thinking we're going to take like a kind of different, maybe not different, but just like probably not the most common approach on how we make this. Where we're thinking of like a nice vibe and setting, and just overall image and feel before we got a story, and then hopefully we're just thinking, okay, like for example, if we kind of came up with the vibe of like a gritty battlefield, then we'd think, okay, soldiers, and then we'd think, okay, a soldier's on a mission, and then we'd think like, go in detail.
I think the story kind of leads from the vibe, Joe.
Yeah.
Like you make the vibe first and the story kind of leads from that.
Yeah, and hopefully with that will mean that we kind of get like a more film-oriented,
more authentic,
focus.
rather than just like trying too hard.
Like not adapting something or
exactly.
making some. It's not going to be a form of storytelling so much. I mean, it will be storytelling, but the focus is.
I think it's been more authentic. I think.
The language of film rather than the language.
It sounds
of
really
the story.
pretentious, but I think
It's not.
I think we have a reason for doing it though, so I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it's not just like come out of nowhere, is it?
Yeah, no, we're not just trying to be pretentious. And it kind of makes sense.
We are.
It's got a good reason.
Yeah, we're just kind of thinking about it a bit differently.
Yeah. I guess so.
So yeah, you stop calling us pretentious because actually, we just think we want to, do something.
Wow.
Mainly inspired by Twin Peaks, I think.
Wow.
So what we kind of got down so far, with vibes, we bounced across the idea of, I guess for starters we could talk about the 2000s thing.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because we were thinking David Lynch does this thing where his kind of shit kind of feels 50s-y, and that's because it's kind of close to him. So the equivalent of that with us would probably be the 2000s. So
late 2000s, early 2010s.
Yeah, so we could kind of, even if it's so just like they dress up in a kind
I
of.
don't think we should like set it there, but I think just have kind of inspiration from it.
We did also think about setting it, but I don't know.
I think it's a bit
like
too much though to do that. I think to kind of like have a subtle kind of.
It's better just kind of have that look. And we can look and we can kind of look at some like 2000s pictures and stuff and kind of get like, because I mean obviously Twin Peaks is really vibrant, and I guess that's probably coming from the fact that it's from the 50s and all the cameras were so like colourful. I'm not sure exactly the science behind that. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why they're like really bright.
It does seem like that. Maybe it's because colours new and stuff, and they were kind of like experimenting.
Like Rebel Without a Cause is so
so saturated.
Yeah, so I guess that's where Twin Peaks gets that from. But it's also it doesn't feel like an old camera. It feels new. It's just got that kind of look. So we can look at 2000 shit and kind of think.
Maybe like a bit maybe grainy, like a little bit grainy, and kind of have like little like things here and there.
Yeah, and we could also have like the outfits and stuff, and maybe some of the kind of
the soundtrack of it as well. Could be kind of like retro. Yeah. Like some like party scenes could have like old songs on and stuff.
And the thing that'd be great about that as well is that it wouldn't even be out of.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because that is how it goes in clubs.
We listened to that yesterday. Like we played old songs. Like.
Yeah, so it wouldn't even feel weird or out of place.
Yeah, it's not like we're playing like 40s music or something. It was like 2000s.
Yeah, even Twin Peaks, it's like it's new music, but it kind of just feels.
It just feels like nostalgic, even though it's kind of not.
Like Julie Cruz isn't really 50s, but it's kind of got all the kind of like.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really know what I'm saying, but you know what I mean. Like,
I get you.
So we could kind of go with something like that, and I guess we could just have our clothes, like our outfits, be more colourful, like a 2000s colourful sort of look, and our hair or whatever.
Yeah, man.
As long as it's like relatively subtle, but also crosses well with today.
Yeah, man. Kind of like gelled hair and stuff as well, like some.
Yeah, we could gel. Yeah.
Just like nothing too over the top, but it's like you can kind of tell if you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Just get that feel. I mean, obviously, if people our age will be the target audience, then it might give them a nice, comfortable. Nostalgic feeling, yeah, but even though it's not actually nostalgic, but just kind of get
cool, that. You can watch back and like once you know about that, you'd notice.
Yeah, and like with Twin Peaks, I probably wouldn't have known that if I hadn't had it pointed out to me. Like after, I didn't really know that until.
That'd be cool. It's kind of good to look back and be like subtle rather than in your face.
Yeah, it just adds layers, like you can just rewatch it and be like, oh, there's more to this.
Yeah, definitely.
So That's something that's good about coming up from things like that as well, because we kind of just have these ideas that are incorporated early on, and then the other stuff comes around it. So that probably create lots of kind of interesting backing to the whole story.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we got the 2000s vibe idea. What other things did we come up with?
The last shot.
Oh
like
yeah.
Sun coming up and stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to elaborate on that one? Because I did quite a lot on the last one. So.
Yeah. What did we even say? We kind of said the main setting is going to be kind of nighttime.
Yeah.
That kind of that feeling where it's like a kind of night out and nice ending, and it's all kind of like that weird.
We're just walking around and it's like complete silent. And
yeah, man. And if we let's say the last shot is like the sun's kind of coming up, and it's kind of like a new day and a new kind of life.
Oh, and just for to remember this, we had a song idea for that. It's called. I don't know how.
Yiha Noha.
Wishes.
Wishes of happiness and prosperity.
Yeah, by Sacred Spirit. So that's the song we'll probably use. And also it's worth mentioning that we kind of had the idea as well, this isn't like set in stone, but we kind of thought about having it being very quiet and eerie up until the end, didn't we? Where we had like, so that all of it's diegetic until the end.
Exactly.
Maybe we could have some music playing, like just to kind of like...
We were going to say like a party scene, weren't we?
Yeah.
Like one party scene maybe where you go and it's quite like loud in your face.
That might not be feasible with COVID though, but I mean...
No, we're going to say at the end of the night, don't we?
Yeah, or even if we just had some people hanging out under a bridge or something, like some teenagers.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah, this is kind of going off again, but this is just brainstorming, so... Obviously, when I think of nightlife and stuff, I think of teenagers. So if we had like a scene with like 5 teenagers or something like that hanging out, that would kind of more feasible to film. And also we could just have them having a speaker, and it would have like the kind of that we could have some like diegetic 2000 stuff.
Yeah,
just kind of create that, you know.
I can see that.
Picture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but back to the sun thing. What was?
Yeah, that's about it, wasn't it?
So I mean, yeah,
like at the end the kind of sun comes up and it's like a kind of new day.
Yeah, the sun comes up. The whole color palette changes from black and orange
like
to
orangey.
No, yeah. Like, maybe if it was by the bay, it could be like.
Maybe it should look on like reflection of the like sun and stuff of the water.
Yeah.
As it kind of comes up, and it's like a new
it's sort of like black and orange. It's kind of blue, white and orange now.
Yeah.
Like instead of the street lights, you got the sun, and all the traffic starts. It's just like a 180 turn,
Yeah.
And if we were thinking about, this is another thing that kind of just came into my head, and I think I shared it with you already, but just for this, you know, if we were kind of relating that to the character, there could become some kind of thing where he kind of comes to like the arc just changes, like his whole character just takes 180, as does the environment around him, which would be quite a cool way to like mirror, you know, the feeling.
Yeah, like it kind of mirrors his inside like feelings.
Yeah, so you're like also it will capture that. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see that working.
I mean, obviously, where the arc is going to be is undeveloped as of now, but
I think that would just happen though. I don't think we need to force it. I think it was just going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, well, if we want an arc, we're obviously going to need a situation. So what kind of situations could we go with?
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm thinking, the whole like maybe he's excluded from his friend group and stuff, and that kind of thing happens.
Yeah, and we could also interlace some other little like kind of charming little stories on the way, like he meets some fucking interesting character or something. You know. Should we think first about characters, and then maybe, because I mean, obviously, we could have characters and then just dump a situation.
Yeah, no,
and kind of, or maybe characters be.
No, I think that's the thing you can do. You can like make characters and think what they do in a situation. And you can kind of like build them from that.
But also,
I think we do that.
If we're thinking about the idea of the character being excluded from the friend group, we might be able to think about the characters first and how that.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that. It could just.
I like that idea though.
I think it could work. Yeah. I mean,
should we chase that one then consider others?
Yeah. You make the characters first and just see what they do in the situation.
So
kind of, like work out from there.
Yeah, I reckon for the like if we're going with the idea, this isn't like we have to go with this idea, but I'm just saying, you know, if we kind of like, I reckon the way we should be thinking about this is we should be thinking of an idea and then pursue it, and then be like, okay, we've thought about that. Now let's go take a step back. And we've got this recording to constantly refer to, so we could take a step back and then rethink it from a completely different angle, and then pick which ones appeal to us more.
Yeah, no,
or use bits of both.
Yeah, I can see that working.
Yeah. If we're kind of chasing this idea of let's just assume this is our idea for the time, and then see where it leads us, and if it turns out not very good, we can start over. But let's assume that the idea is we have our main character who's like in a phone group, but he's not really fitting in, and I guess maybe
he has like one friend he knows, but he's kind of dumping him for his other friends, and he's kind of like losing him as it goes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he knows one guy when he first gets there, and then as it kind of changes, like his other mate knows more people, and it kind of like. I feel he's kind of left behind and stuff. Kind of.
Yeah, maybe like.
Or like he's just gone to uni and something. He's just like kind of.
You know what I could see,
Yeah.
like, you know how we said, yeah, this is something else that's kind of unrelated, but also I'm tying it in as I go along. Wait a sec. So, I'm thinking, you know, I said about this idea. I had this idea because I know lots of films and stuff now. Quite a scientific thing to do would be to have like aspect ratio changes. You know, so I think how we could do it differently. And what about like frame rate changes? So, as the characters are smoking weed, obviously this doesn't literally happen, but it might just be able to kind of make it a bit more replicating. And also, we're thinking already this would be a film to experience high, so, you know, if you're smoking weed with the character, as this character is, then this might make the visuals more interesting as you go along. But every time he smokes weed, the frame rate could gradually get higher and higher. So we start at 25, and it goes up to 60, which obviously wouldn't be good on all viewing devices, some devices would be capped at 30 or whatever, but it doesn't matter, it's just a thing that's there, because if you know, either you're limited to 30 frames, which is fine, or you have the extra spins of 60 frames, which is also good.
Yeah.
And if you're smoking weed, that might look more interesting. And if you're not smoking weed, then maybe you'll just kind of be able to feel like an uncomfortable change.
Yeah, I think you'd subtly like notice. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think you'd know like straight away, but you'd notice.
Yeah. It could be one of those things like,
yeah.
it could be one of those things that's in the background, like, unless you're thinking about it,
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't notice
I feel
it.
like subconsciously you would notice though. Like you wouldn't. Like,
Yeah,
you
you'd
wouldn't
know-
say
yeah.
you'd notice, but you'd kind of feel it.
You'd
be
experience it, but you wouldn't
Yeah.
actually be like,
That's
oh,
what
it's
films,
gone
yeah.
up frame rate.
Like, exactly. You wouldn't think about it, but you'd know.
Same with aspect ratios, what's good about that, because it kind of just happens, and then like it's a bit shocking at first, but then you get used to it and you completely forget that it even changed.
Yeah, that's a
So,
good point. Yeah, and like some scenes
yeah.
when it's like kind of like a bit small aspect ratio from quite enclosed and like.
Yeah, we can experiment with aspect
isolated
ratio
and
as well. If
stuff.
I reckon with this aspect ratio, though, we can probably think of a story first and then think about where it could come from. But yeah, that frame rate idea I think is quite cool. So thinking about that though, assuming that the last one,
Oh yeah.
assuming that the characters are smoking weed, well maybe the friend group he doesn't like is associated with that, and it led him to kind of just
Well,
maybe he's trying to fit in by smoking. You know, it leads to his arc where he's like, oh, actually, I don't really need to do that. I don't really need these people. The day starts. Obviously, that's like a very vague idea, but we can like.
No, yeah, I can see that. Or maybe he meets
Yeah.
someone else and like then he starts to chat with them. Like, I don't really need these other people.
Be good actually to have someone.
Because I can see a shot of them like both maybe sat there at the end, with, like there's kind of sun coming up.
Yeah. It'd be good to kind of have, and also a good way to kind of convey what he's thinking.
And stuff.
Like obviously, dialogue's probably the laziest way to do it, but also I don't really know how else you could do it.
Yeah.
But also, what just suddenly comes to my head, you remember how not long ago I just said maybe we could kind of tie in some like strange character that he meets and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. What if like you know, maybe he met some strange character and that person was like a plot device to get it from him, and it wouldn't even have to be so subtle.
Which
it could
one?
be self-aware, like there could be like some kind of crackhead guy who comes up to him or something like that, or just some weird character who approaches him in the night when he's on his own and they start talking, and he's literally just a plot device. And maybe that could be, you know, it doesn't have to be like so random. It could be if we're self-aware about it being a plot device, like it's just like this person is like a representation of this feeling or something.
What do you mean? So like whenever like the person shows it, it's kind of feeling something.
Say like this character needs to have this realization
Yeah.
that he doesn't need these people, and so what would give you that? Like I don't really know what the word would be, but what would give you that in your brain, or like that?
Well, the feeling you don't want to really be with them. You
Like
kind of
realize. I guess realization. Okay, take the
I
idea.
guess yeah, like epiphany. That's what.
So take the idea of epiphany or something, and then think, okay, well let's latch that idea onto a character,
to a person.
and then that
Okay.
person comes in and that changes.
I think a homeless person, I could see that working.
Yeah.
Like maybe he just kind of sees someone, or like it just kind of happens, or like whenever he walks past one, it kind of hints at it.
And to contrast that, we could have a character who's the opposite, who's bringing him down, who could be like the ringleader of the friend group. And it could kind of be all about.
Yeah, I think we need like one really cool, like
So yeah, like
character.
yeah, so those two characters could be complete opposites. And yeah. So if the epiphany character is like a homeless person, then the contrast could be some fucking like hype beast who's got loads of money.
Could be, yeah.
Or could be the cocky guy.
I can see that.
Which works just
No, I
that
think that should be
naturally.
the cocky guy. Like,
That naturally works.
because that
Anyway.
makes it. Because I feel like a hype beast would be
Yeah.
cocky anyway. Like,
Yeah, they just that kind of naturally works.
I think we should have the main guy, like the ringleader. The group should be quite cocky and just like.
Yeah. So he could have all
Yeah,
this,
man.
and his clothes could also be like hypebeast, but and very colourful to kind of resemble the 2000s.
Yeah, like in a
vibe.
baggy jacket, I think.
I mean, that's just ideas. We just got these fucking notes, and we can pick apart and choose which ones we want to go with. But I think that's quite cool.
I think that makes sense, yeah. I can see him with like a baggy kind of jacket and stuff
Mm.
and kind of going from there. I'm so welcome.
So I guess that's idea one
Yeah.
of like a vague story.
Mm.
Should we backtrack and then do another idea from a completely different perspective? And obviously,
Yeah.
we can take parts of each idea if we
Mm.
want to. We can listen back and be like, oh, I like that idea, so we put that into this idea and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So, where should we start from? In fact, should we stop recording then edit it and then
okay.
go back?
Fuck
break
yeah,
it,
alright, man.
break it up.